It has been 5 years since humans first learned of the existence of titans, enormous monsters that resemble gods. Paleobiologist Emma works for a company called Monarch to study the titans and create her orca sonar, which can transmit frequencies that only titans can hear. She lost her son in the most recent monster attack, and the grief caused her marriage to fall apart. As a result, she is now Madison's sole caregiver. One morning, the China excavation site where they've been residing starts to tremble. Rushing to the lab, Madison and Emma marvel as Mothra, a titan with a moth-like appearance, is born from a massive glowing egg. The containment field is activated by the scientists to keep her contained, but the system starts to malfunction. Because they were hacked, when the guards see the monster escape, they become alarmed and start shooting at Mothra, who then becomes alarmed and starts attacking everyone in her path. When Emma makes the risky decision to use Orca inside the enclosure, the sonar frequency quickly starts to calm Mothra down. Emma is delighted to follow her mother and get to caress Mothra's face. An eco-terrorist group led by former Colonel Jonah breaks into the facility with a massive explosion and starts killing the entire team, leaving only Emma and Madison alive. This abruptly interrupts the moment. Dr. Serizawa, the top scientist at Monarch, is present at the hearing with his assistants to persuade the senators that the Titans are real. The trio departs without having resolved their differences when Serizawa receives a message informing him of the incident in China. They meet with Emma's ex-husband, Mark, shortly after to solicit his assistance. When Mark finds out that Jonah kidnapped Emma and Madison, and that he'll use Orca, which Mark helped develop for evil, he reluctantly agrees to rejoin Monarch because he quit after they failed to protect his son during the last attack. However, Mark accepts when he learns that Jonah kidnapped Emma and Madison. Mark is taken to the group's underwater base where Godzilla, the Titan King, is studied and monitored. They discovered that Mothra had managed to get away from Jonah's men and was now hiding out beneath a waterfall miles away. Their information indicates that Jonah wants to capture Mothra, but Mark explains that it's only a ruse because once they have Orca, they can unleash all the monsters, so they should kill them first. Serizawa still refuses, though. In the meantime, Jonah's men kill every worker at another Monarch base in Antarctica, where Emma and Madison are taken to free the Titan Ghidorah, also known as Monster Zero, who is trapped in ice. While Emma prepares Orca, Jonah gives the order for his men to begin drilling into the ice and filling the hole with explosives. When they return to the underwater base, they notice that there hasn't been any shaking since the last attack. The team learns that a Titan is approaching and that their drones are being destroyed. The group takes off and they clarify to check that Ghidorah is utilized to be an equal alpha to Godzilla, and they combat for dominance over the other Titans. When they make it to the solidified base, the ruler troopers rapidly make it interior, only to be trapped by Jonah's men. A firefight instantly results, and when Stamp sees his family on the video nourish, he decides to connect the fight too. A ruler expert sharpshooter oversees to murder the fellow with the detonator, which falls to the ground, while Czech meets with his family, inquiring them to come with him. However, Emma shocks him by picking up the detonator and enacting the explosives, which immediately causes the structure to begin to disintegrate. As Ghidorah starts shaking the interior of the ice, the people run absent, and Emma joins Jonah on a flight to recapture and get to Orca. While the base sinks into the solidified ground, Emma enacts the sonar and at last wakes up Ghidorah, who quickly starts assaulting all the individuals encompassing him. The officers attempt to counter with their weapons, but bullets do nothing and Ghidorah fair breathes a pillar of bioelectricity at them. The ruler group tries to take off in their flight, but Ghidorah's electric assault has caused all the electronic gear to halt working, and presently they're stuck on the ground. Desperate to assist her father, Madison takes the Orca from Emma and changes the recurrence to get Ghidorah's attention. When the Titan turns to them, Emma takes Orca back and turns it off, so presently Ghidorah goes back to attack the ruler's vehicle. After many hits, the group considers they're sad, but at that minute, Godzilla erupts from the ice and starts battling Ghidorah. To begin with, Godzilla has the upper hand and lands an electric pillar of his possession, but Ghidorah before long overwhelms him and thumps Godzilla into the hole cleared out by the explosion. Then Ghidorah assaults Ruler once more and eats Serizawa's collaborator, but at that minute the Monarch fly arrives and besieges the Titan with missiles. A stray rocket detonates close to Czech and thumps him out, whereas Ghidorah flies absent for some time. Recently Godzilla can retaliate. Sometime afterward, once Stamp is feeling way better, he regroups with the others and analyzes the information to memorize Jonah's other target may be a base in Mexico. Suddenly they're reached by Emma, who uncovers she had been working with Jonah all along because she needs to free all the Titans to reestablish and adjust to the world. Humans are harming the planet and will before long annihilate it. but inquiries have demonstrated that the ranges that the teens assaulted final time are recovering, meaning the monsters can act as antibodies for the planet. The ruler group calls her out since her arrangement will cause millions of passings around the globe, but Emma Fair hangs up on them. Then Ruler finds that Jonah's group has closed down the containment system, so they begin working on clearing individuals in the town close to the Mexican base. Meanwhile, Jonah inquires Emma to utilize Orca to stir the Titan in Mexico remotely within the town, and this time Madison tries to halt her, because she didn't just like the arrangement either. Emma overlooks her and actuates the sonar besides, sending the signals through the speakers in town. Soon the Mexican base detonates and Titan Rodin rises from a well of lava that promptly erupts. Everyone in town runs away and freeze, whereas Ruler sends their planes to urge Rodan's attention, but the Titan responds by flying over the town and wreaking ruin all over before attacking the jets. One by one, each pilot falls dead to Rodin's anger, and when it's about to hit the jet, Ghidorah shows up. Both beasts clash in a horrendous battle within the sky, and after trading some hits, Ghidorah overwhelms Rodin and sends it to the foot of the ocean. Meanwhile, the jet's shelter entryways get hammed, so Check Danger is getting closer to open it manually and protect one of their planes, which loses control within the way and crashes right into the hangar. At that minute, the group gets a call from Chief Naval Officer Stenz inquiring them to fly absent since the Army has launched a weapon known as the Oxygen Destroyer to undertake to slaughter the Titans, ignoring the reality Surizawa is against it. With Rodan gone, Ghidorah turns his consideration to the fly, but sometime recently it can assault. Godzilla shows up and pushes Ghidorah into the water. Now that Ghidorah can't fly, Godzilla picks up the upper hand and tears off one of the Titans' heads. Suddenly, the Oxygen Destroyer strikes, murdering all marine life inside a 2-mile radius. Godzilla's vitals flatline and Ruler except he's dead, but Ghidorah develops from the ocean completely unharmed. At that point, he lands on the spring of gushing lava and recovers his lost head. With Godzilla gone, Ghidorah takes the role of the ruling Alpha Titan and expresses a piercing shriek that gets up all the torpid Titans all over the world. Destruction and chaos take over each location, not to specify the triggering of normal disasters like seismic tremors and tsunamis. At the waterfall, Mothra's cocoon starts gleaming, and before long she develops into a forceful modern form with excellent wings. Seeing all the devastation caused by her arrangement makes Emma have regrets, especially when Madison calls her a beast and focuses out that this isn't what her brother would want it. The ruler group analyzes Ghidorah's unnatural characteristics, and by investigating a few old myths, they realize Ghidorah is an outsider, and so an obtrusive species rather than an authority of the characteristic order. The reason for Ghidorah's devastation may be to xeroform the planet to suit his own tastes. Moments afterward, the group meets with Stenz and his armed force to clarify that ceasing Ghidorah will halt all the other creatures as well, but no Titan is effectively sufficient for the job other than Godzilla. Meanwhile, Emma has to come to the same conclusion and tells Jonah she needed cohabitation, not extinction. She needs to utilize Orca and intensify it through a stadium to disturb Ghidorah's control over the Titans, but Jonah denies it since he considers the world has a place for the monsters. This entire discussion is listened to through the comms by Madison, who chooses to require the matter in her claim hands. She takes Orca and goes to Boston, which is as of now being emptied by the military. At the ruler base, Stamp is serious to take off to discover his girl on his claim, but at that moment a bright light shows up in the sky. It's Mothra, who turns out to be the queen of Godzilla's king. She keeps singing a melody to induce contact with Godzilla, who is really lively and recovering underwater. Mark focuses out Mothra will need help restoring him, so they send out a submarine to follow her, as it were to induce caught in a vortex that sucks them into the empty soil tunnel. They send out a bunch of rambles and find the old ruins of a civilization whose hieroglyphs show that they calmly coexisted with Godzilla and other titans millennia ago. Godzilla is found resting in his sanctuary, which comprises a volcanic chamber that has an air take, bolstering his vitality to revive him. This handle may take truly a long time, so they got to explode a nuke to accelerate the process. Unfortunately, the submarine's weapon framework is offline, meaning somebody will have to manually place and detonate the warhead to Godzilla. Surizawa volunteers to do it and gives Check his scratch pad. Sometime recently he says his last goodbyes to his team. Meanwhile, all 4 branches of the military set out to assault Ghidorah, who is in the process of totally wrecking Washington, D.C., with the assistance of a returning Rodan. At that minute, Madison makes her way inside the stadium's press box and employments the Orca to broadcast the recurrence through the speakers, causing all the Titans barring Ghidorah to all of a sudden terminate their frenzy and get to be meek, but this also pulls in all of them to her location. In the sea, Serizawa sheets a smaller than expected submarine and gets interior the discussed pocket, where he takes off the warhead sometime recently drawing closer to Godzilla. The Titan opens his eyes but doesn't assault him, and Serizawa touches him confront to say goodbye to his ancient friend. The warhead at that point explodes, crushing the whole depressed city, slaughtering Serizawa, and sending the submarine back to the surface. Seconds afterward, Godzilla rises from the sea totally recuperated and shoots out a blast, ready to battle for his put as the Titan's alpha. He takes a minute to look at the group and chooses their partners sometime recently. He takes off to find Ghidorah. This makes Stamp realize that Emma combined the bioacoustics of Godzilla and people to create the orca's flag, so the creatures think people are predators too. They choose to take after Godzilla and join the fight. At Jonah's base, Emma tries to take off to discover Madison as well, and when the troopers try to halt her, Emma focuses her gun on Jonah. Since the arrangement is as of now going well, Jonah chooses to let her go. In Boston, Ghidorah's entry causes a tropical storm that clears the entire city. The Titan starts assaulting the stadium with vitality bars and hits of his claws, so Madison grabs Orca and starts running through the hallways, avoiding the pillars and the debris until she makes it outside. She tosses Orca, absent, and Ghidorah pulverizes it with a paw sometime recently turning to Madison. But before he can murder her, Godzilla appears up and thumps Ghidorah down. A modern fight between both mammoths starts this time with the military providing cover fire to occupy Ghidorah and make him more vulnerable. The clash of the Titans triggers something within the sensors, and the group finds the warhead's radiation cheated Godzilla. It makes him more grounded, but too, he'll overload in about 12 minutes, which can cause a thermonuclear explosion. They rapidly arrive fly and go out trying to find Madison, as it were, to discover the orca first. Ghidorah oversees to thrust Godzilla to the ground, but Godzilla strikes back with a vitality beam, and at that minute Mothra appears up and employments her silk to stick Ghidorah's head to the side of a tower. This gives Godzilla the chance to handle Ghidorah, as it were for Rodan to appear up and battle Mothra too, starting a fire within the city with its flame breath. While the mammoths battle around them, Emma too arrives and picks up Czech and the soldiers in a jeep as they go searching for Madison, who is running in fear to stow away in her old family domestic, which is found right beneath the beast's falling bodies. Ghidorah finds the control framework and assimilates the power supply, empowering him to launch curves of lightning from his wings that hit Godzilla, debilitating him significantly and forcing the military planes to retreat. Rodan corners Mothra against a building, and Mothra takes the chance to utilize her stinger to wound Rodan, harming it so severely that it falls to the ground and can't get up. When Stamp and Emma make it to their ancient house, they're crushed to discover it in ruins. They desperately start seeking out for Madison through the rubble, and in the long run discover her unconscious interior of a bathtub, which spared her from the falling debris. Madison rapidly wakes up and reunites with her family as they observe how Ghidorah grabs a frail Godzilla and takes him tall within the sky time recently discharging him, causing Godzilla to dive through thousands of feet and crash to the ground. Ghidorah plans a beam to murder Godzilla, but at that minute, Mothra puts herself between Godzilla and the attack, which immediately vaporizes her. Mothra's fiery debris rain down on Godzilla, exchanging her energy to both mend him and block the overload. While Godzilla roars in melancholy for his companion, Ghidorah lifts him, prepared for the ultimate kill. However, Czech and Emma oversee to enact Orca once more, and the recurrence gets Ghidorah's attention, making him drop Godzilla and go after them instead. The ruler fly comes to choose the family, but Emma chooses to remain behind with the Orca to keep Ghidorah's consideration on her, rather than chasing the team. Madison cries out as Emma drives absent with the Orca, directing Ghidorah through the ruins of the city until the Titan hits the vehicle with his vitality beams. Emma rolls out of the car but isn't frightened of Ghidorah when he approaches, since at that minute, Godzilla appears up shining ruddy, much obliged to the blend of radiation and Mothra's ashes. Godzilla has a new and improved look that allows him to take on his arch-nemesis, Ghidorah. With this updated frame, Godzilla is able to shoot powerful thermo-shots that burn Ghidorah's wings and heads. After a fierce battle, Godzilla emerges victorious, crushing Ghidorah's final head with a bar and earning the title of Alpha. However, the intense fight leaves the city in ruins, with a massive detonation engulfing everything in its path. Thanks for watching. Do not forget to subscribe to this channel. See you in the next video.